It was a picture-perfect autumn day, leaves swirling like confetti as I watched my daughter, Sophia, chase squirrels in the park. A simple scene, filled with innocent joy. But that memory is forever tainted by the phone call I received just moments later. My mother, Cecilia, her voice dripping with venom, told me I was ruining our family. And what I did next, well, it changed everything. Before I continue, let me introduce myself. My name is Emily, and I'm a mother, just like many of you. I often find comfort in knowing that I'm not alone in navigating the complexities of family, love, and the occasional curveball life throws our way. If you're listening, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Please drop a comment below and tell me where in the world you are. Your stories and experiences mean a lot to me. Rewinding a bit, my life hadn't always been so complicated. I'd always dreamed of being a mom, but life had other plans. After years of trying and facing the heartache of infertility, I decided to explore adoption. That's how Sophia came into my life. She was 6 years old, with bright, curious eyes and a spirit that could light up a room. The moment I held her, I knew she was my daughter, my heart, my everything. But my happiness wasn't universally shared. My parents, Romero and Cecilia, made it clear from the start that they didn't approve of my decision. They were old-fashioned, clinging to the idea that family meant blood. My sister Clara had 2 daughters, Lily and Daisy, who were their pride and joy. In their eyes, Sophia, being adopted, was somehow lesser. They never said it outright, but the subtle digs, the dismissive glances, the way they only talked about class girls, it all spoke volumes.
Blood is thicker than water, Emily. My mother would often say, a thinly veiled jab at my choice. Despite their disapproval, I tried to maintain a relationship with my parents. After all, they were my family. When they both lost their jobs due to the company downsizing, I stepped in without hesitation. I paid their mortgage every month, ensuring they had a roof over their heads. It was the right thing to do, even though my mother never failed to remind me how disappointed she was that I hadn't given them biological grandchildren. I also gave them a monthly allowance of $800 to help with their expenses. I foolishly hoped that Sophia would eventually win them over. I envisioned family dinners filled with laughter, shared holidays, and the kind of unconditional love that grandparents are supposed to shower on their grandchildren.
I wanted Sophia to bond with Lily and Daisy, to have cousins to play with and confide in. So, I planned a visit to my parents' house. It was supposed to be a fun afternoon, a chance for the girls to get to know each other. But from the moment we arrived, I could feel the tension in the air. Clara and her daughters were already there, basking in my parents' adoration. Lily and Daisy, both pampered and entitled, immediately started showing off their new toys, expensive gadgets that I knew my parents couldn't afford themselves. Sophia, ever the sweet and sensitive child, politely admired their gifts. "Sophia, why don't you help your grandmother set the table?" my mother said, her tone sharp and dismissive. I bristled. "Mom, she's a guest. Let her play with the other girls." "She needs to learn to be helpful," my mother retorted, shooting me a disapproving look. Lily and Daisy are too busy to do chores, and that's how the afternoon unfolded. While Lily and Daisy played video games and snacked on cookies, Sophia was relegated to doing chores, setting the table, washing dishes, sweeping the floor. My parents and sister barely acknowledged her presence while doting on Clara's daughters. At one point, I found Sophia scrubbing the toilet, her small face etched with exhaustion. "Grandma said I need to clean it," she explained, her voice barely a whisper. That was it. Something inside me snapped. I had endured their subtle jabs and passive-aggressive comments, but seeing my daughter treated like a servant in her own grandparents' home was the final straw. "Sophia, leave that," I said, my voice trembling with anger. "We're leaving." I stormed into the living room, where my parents and sister were laughing over some inside joke. "This is unacceptable," I said, my voice shaking. You're treating Sophia like she's not even part of the family. She's my daughter, and she deserves to be treated with respect. My mother scoffed. Don't be so dramatic, Emily. We're just teaching her the value of hard work. While Lily and Daisy play video games, I countered, my voice rising. That's not fair, and it's not right. Sophia is adopted. Lily and Daisy are our blood, my father said, his voice cold and unwavering. There's a difference. Those words hit me like a punch to the gut. The blatant favoritism, the casual cruelty, the way they dismissed Sophia's worth simply because she wasn't biologically related to them, it was all too much to bear. You know what? I said, my voice shaking with a mixture of anger and sadness.
I'm done. I'm done trying to force a relationship that you clearly don't want, and I'm definitely done enabling your behavior. I grabbed Sophia's hand and walked out of the house, tears streaming down my face. That night, I made a decision that would change the course of our lives. I called the bank and stopped paying my parents' mortgage. I also canceled their monthly allowance. The reaction was swift and furious. My phone blew up with calls and texts from my parents and sister, accusing me of being selfish, cruel, and ungrateful. How could you do this to us, Emily? My mother wailed over the phone. We're going to lose our house. Maybe if you had treated my daughter with kindness and respect, things would be different. I said, my voice firm despite the pain in my heart. But you didn't. You chose to prioritize your own prejudices over the well-being of your granddaughter, and I won't stand for it, Clara chimed in, her voice dripping with venom. You're ruining our family, Emily, all because you couldn't have your own kids. That comment stung, but I refused to let them see my pain. I have a daughter, Clara, I said, my voice unwavering, and I will always put her first. Within a few months, my parents were evicted from their home. They moved in with Clara, creating an even more toxic environment for everyone involved. I blocked their numbers and cut off all contact. It was a difficult decision, but I knew it was the right one for Sophia. Of course, the story didn't end there. My parents and sister tried to reach out through mutual friends and family members, spreading lies and rumors about me. They painted me as a heartless daughter who had abandoned her parents in their time of need. But I refused to engage. I focused on Sophia, on creating a loving and supportive home for her. I enrolled her in therapy to help her process the trauma of being rejected by her own grandparents. It took time, but she slowly began to heal. One day, about a year after I had cut off contact with my family, Sophia came to me with a request. Mom, she said, her voice hesitant, I want to see Grandma and Grandpa. I was stunned. Sophia, are you sure? They weren't very nice to you. I know, she said. But they're still my grandparents, and I miss them. I thought long and hard about it. I didn't want to expose Sophia to their negativity again, but I also didn't want to deny her the chance to connect with her family if that's what she truly wanted. So I agreed to arrange a meeting. I set strict boundaries, insisting that it take place in a neutral location with me present. The meeting was awkward and tense. My parents looked older and more worn down than I remembered. Clara was there too, her expression tight and resentful. Sophia, however, was a beacon of light. She approached her grandparents with an open heart, offering them a tentative hug. I missed you, she said, her voice soft and sweet. My parents seemed genuinely touched by her gesture. They apologized for their behavior, admitting that they had been wrong to treat her differently. We were foolish and prejudiced, my mother said, tears welling up in her eyes. We're so sorry, Sophia. Sophia, being the compassionate child that she is, forgave them instantly. It's okay, Grandma, she said. I still love you. I, however, was not ready to forgive. I appreciated their apology, but the damage had been done. I couldn't forget the pain they had caused Sophia, the way they had made her feel unworthy and unwanted. I allowed Sophia to have occasional visits with her grandparents, but I always made sure to be present. ensuring that she was treated with the love and respect she deserved. A few years later, I received a phone call from Clara. Her voice was filled with desperation. "Emily, I don't know what to do," she said. "Mom and Dad are homeless again. They can't stay with me anymore. Can you please help them?" I hesitated. Part of me wanted to say no, to let them face the consequences of their actions. But another part of me, the part that still clung to the hope of reconciliation, felt a pang of sympathy. "I don't know, Clara," I said, my voice wavering. "They hurt Sophia so much. I don't know if I can forgive them."
"Please, Emily," Clara pleaded. "They have nowhere else to go." I told Clara I would think about it. I talked to Sophia about the situation, asking for her input. "Mom," she said, "I forgave them a long time ago, but that doesn't mean you have to. You need to do what's best for you." Her words resonated with me. I realized that I didn't owe my parents forgiveness. I had done everything I could to help them, but they had repeatedly chosen to prioritize their own prejudices over the well-being of my daughter. So, I made my decision. I called Clara back and told her that I couldn't help. "I'm sorry, Clara," I said, "but I need to protect Sophia, and I can't do that if I let your parents back into our lives." Clara was furious, but I stood my ground. I knew that I had made the right decision. My parents never truly understood or accepted Sophia, and I never fully reconciled with them, but I found peace in knowing that I had done everything I could to protect my daughter from their negativity. Sophia grew up to be a kind, compassionate, and confident young woman. She learned to embrace her unique identity and to love herself unconditionally. And that, more than anything, is what truly mattered. I often think about my parents and sister, wondering if they ever regret their actions. I hope that one day they will come to realize the error of their ways. But until then, I will continue to prioritize Sophia's happiness and well-being above all else. Because in the end, family isn't about blood. It's about love, loyalty, and acceptance. My daughter's grandparents chose blood over her. I ruined their lives. And that's how it all unfolded. I chose my daughter. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to the channel for more such stories.